Welcome to Moonshine and Music. I'm your host, Joe Shelton. It's great to have you back here again. Please hit the subscribe button below to make sure that you see all the shows. And if you're on iTunes or Podbean or whatever, please subscribe to us. We really appreciate all the subscribers out there. And you're listening and watching to the show. The show is pre-recorded. This is something that some people have been asking. Yes, we pre-record the show. Yes, several weeks in advance in some cases. We put them out once a week for your pleasure. And this week, our special guest is a great, fine songwriter and musician, Melissa Sandullo. She is going to give you like the goods on her songwriting and how she came up with some of her tunes. It's very interesting. It's a compelling interview. I really enjoyed meeting with Melissa and hearing her sing. She's got an incredible voice. And aside from being a really talented musician, she is the owner of a Books and Brews franchise. Books and Brews is a small chain of bookstores / breweries that are mostly here in central Indiana. And she owns one of the stores in Broad Ripple, which is on the north side of Indianapolis. And she's going to talk a little bit about that. Our sponsor for today and every week is our production company, Eat New Media. Go to eatnewmedia.com. And if you're interested in getting a video made for your special event or your corporate event or your music group, they can set you up. If you'd like to be a sponsor on Moonshine and Music, please email us at joe@moonshineandmusic.com and let me know, your interest, and we'll talk about it. Because we'd love to have some sponsors for the show. There are a few expenses around here that we need to take care of. Anyway, I think that's about all I've got for today. Let's get in and listen to some good, fine music and hear some great stories from our guest today, Melissa Sandullo. Moonshine and Music starts now. All right, so we're here today with Melissa Sandullo, and this is Moonshine and Music. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Our show, I think, one of the things we're trying to do is get to know the artists on a personal level, not just, what songs you sing, because people can go out and see your songs, but they don't necessarily get to see, who you are under that. So, the question I like to start with is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Vincennes, Indiana.
Vincennes, over on the west side of Indiana?
Yep. Kind of south. We're basically Kentucky. We're not. I mean, we're still, a couple hours from Kentucky, but the high school that I went to there, we all joked around that our hometown was Vintucky. Because we just kind of felt that way a little bit.
So are your parents from Vincennes as well?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up there, so from elementary school through high school. My parents actually lived in eastern Kentucky for a number of years before I was born, and my older sister too. And when I was a really little girl, we lived in Bicknell, Indiana, which I doubt a whole lot of people have heard of. But I was just
searching my inner GPS for that, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, there used to be a coal mine there called Bicknell Minerals. My dad was a coal miner, and so I am the coal miner's daughter.
Do you actually sing that song?
I don't. I need to. Oh. I need to incorporate that into my set and do like a bluesy version of it.
I think it would work.
I think it would.
Oddly.
Yeah. So those some of my best memories are my dad coming home from the coal mine and giving him a great big hug, and he always smelled like diesel and dust, and that's just still one of my favorite smells. Still as an adult, but that's where I was born, lived there for the first few years of my childhood, and started kindergarten, and then moved to Vincennes.
And so he wasn't a coal miner anymore once you moved to Vincennes?
No, Bicknell Minerals closed up. And so we actually had to move in with my grandparents for a short period of time, and that was in Newburgh, Indiana. All these little towns that a lot of people haven't heard of. Newburgh, which is kind of outside of Evansville. So we lived there with them for a few months, and I started kindergarten in Newburgh and did my first semester there. But living with Grandma and Grandpa was like the best days of my life. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. We all lived there together, Mom, Dad, my sister, and I, and grandparents. And Dad worked short-term there until he could find a long-term job, and then we moved to Vincennes.
So you grew up in Vincennes, and then how did you end up here?
Oh my gosh. I mean, just like a number of small moves here and there. I went to college in Anderson. I always knew that I wanted to go there. They had a great music program, so I was a music major there. My husband and I met when we lived in Vincennes, and when I transferred to Anderson for college, then he transferred as well for his master's degree, started working there. We got married, lived there for a few years, moved to Terre Haute for a job change for him. Then we moved to Illinois for a couple years, and then came back towards Indianapolis because we wanted to be closer to family.
So when you were a music major, so how old were you when you started playing music?
When I started playing piano, I really had to do that by necessity as a college student. It was part of my major. I really only ever sang before college. And really, I don't remember a time that I wasn't singing. I used to put on concerts for my stuffed animals. And we had this playroom at our house in Bicknell, and I'd line up all my stuffed animals through the playroom, and I would put on these big, like, opera shows.
Did you have a favorite stuffed animal?
Yes.
What was that?
Randy Raccoon.
Randy Raccoon?
Yes.
I had Buddy Bear.
Yeah?
Yeah, now I'm giving it away.
Yeah.
I still have Buddy Bear. He's on a bookshelf in my house.
Yeah. Randy
no
Raccoon.
other stuffed animals, just to be clear.
Just right. You were like all like war heroes and like
Star
super
Wars
tough stuff, right?
We had lots of Star Wars stuff and G.I. Joe.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You did too?
No.
No?
No, I had a lot of stuffed animals. But I was a bit of a tomboy as well. Yeah, I loved going out and getting dirty in the yard.
Did you play sports?
Not well. No, I was not good at sports. I liked the concept of being on a team, but I was no good. I wasn't any good. I played soccer when I was in first grade. I was on the gray team.
Yeah, that was the name of it, the gray team?
Well, we were the racers, but we were the gray team. We had gray shirts.
I see.
Yeah, and then there were the blue racers and the green racers. We were all racers, but I was on the gray team.
You were the gray racers.
Yeah, I really wanted to be on the green team, but I was on the gray team, and I was a striker, which basically just meant that I ran and chased the ball, and it also basically meant I didn't know how to do anything else except for run and chase the ball. So I can remember just like giggling all the way up and down the field because I thought it was hilarious that we were running.
Well, having had kids and watching first grade soccer, I would say that playing striker is akin to just being able to kick people in the shins.
Right.
Or fall down gracefully.
Yes.
In the way of others.
And I always was falling down with the utmost grace as a first grader. Always.
So you sang a lot as a kid.
All the time.
And that made you want to be a music major?
Yeah, I mean, it just was like a natural progression for me because there was never anything else that really captured my interest. I mean, I loved watching musicians on TV. I can remember watching Sesame Street, and whenever there was some kind of musical guest on Sesame Street, I was just enamored. I loved watching people sing. I loved hearing people sing. I loved when we would go to church and we would sing hymns. This was back in the day when we actually still sang out of a hymn book.
Right.
And
where they had like 400 copies of the hymn book.
Right. In all of the pews. And so we'd get our book, and I loved trying to find the harmony, and I would always sing the harmonies in the hymns, and I think that made me a more well-rounded vocalist because I could always pick out harmonies, and I didn't realize what an important skill that was going to be for me in the future, because now I do some studio work, and if I'm working on another artist's project, it's real easy for me to find another part because I just was just trained in that all throughout my youth, and then started to get more serious, I think around 8th grade. Decided I probably needed to have voice lessons to make sure that I was doing things properly, because I wanted to get better and I wanted to make sure that I had my voice for my whole life and didn't, blow it out, because it's a muscle, it's an instrument, and it can get some wear and tear. And so I would say probably around middle school, 8th grade was when I knew that, okay, this isn't just something that I love to do, this is a career path now. So, and that was it. I never even considered doing anything else at that point.
So, have you been, you went into college, you learned to play piano,
Yeah.
and then is that when you started writing songs? Or?
Yeah, I kind of, this is really good.
Go
Moonshine,
ahead.
by the way.
Take a sip.
It's fantastic, and it's Sunday.
And it's, moonshine and music, so
Right.
moonshine should be
It's
done.
appropriate. Yeah. What was your question? I was distracted by the delicious moonshine.
The moonshine distraction is a big one.
It is, yeah.
It's easy for me to get distracted as well.
Right.
By the moonshine, but I try to, I try to keep myself in check.
Keep it together.
I mean,
Songwriting was what you
we
were...
shoot them all in succession. So you got to pace yourself on the moonshine.
you do have to. Yeah, it's important.
You
were asking about songwriting.
Yeah.
I mean, I dabbled a little bit, and I would write little tunes, and I can remember sitting at the piano before I really knew what I was doing and just kind of making things up. And but I really didn't start to really dive into songwriting until I was in college, and I wrote quite a bit, and it was all terrible. Like, it was all
well, as early songs,
any good.
I'm as a songwriter myself, I've written so many terrible songs that they far outweigh the good ones.
Oh my gosh, so many terrible songs, and I put out a CD of terrible songs, and people loved it, but it was terrible. And yeah.
So how many in college you put one out, or?
Yeah, when I was on my way out of college. Yeah, and it was awful. But it was fun. It was it was not a great great seller.
I can
It was bad.
The selling of them is a challenge anyway.
Right.
So even when it's really good, selling them can be a challenge.
Right. I really thought I had something though.
What was the name of that record?
It's called The Glory of Your Light.
The Glory of Your Light.
It sounds like a super hippie.
It sounds like either a really religious or a really hippie.
Well, it really was. It really was.
Religious?
Yeah. It was lots of really like some worship songs and a couple of Sandy Patty covers. I don't know if you're familiar with Sandy Patty.
I know Sandy Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I lived up in Anderson for a while, and she is a big deal there.
Big deal.
For sure. I mean, she's a big deal nationally as well. But
and I want to say, production-wise, it was good. It was a good production, and I had a good experience with it. As far as the writing went, it was not.
That was your you felt like your downfall?
I really felt like I had something, though. I really felt like it was all very good, but it really, like, listening to it now, it really wasn't.
Is it still out there for available?
No, it's not out.
You don't have it on iTunes?
No.
Because I was
there was no such thing as iTunes when I made it.
Well, I didn't know if you launched it out later. It's catalog stuff. You can launch that back catalog and really cash in.
That's for the private collection. It's really,
It's for the Melissa Sandullo really private selection.
Yeah, it's the really like, it's not even like a B track. It's like, yeah. That's after I'm dead and gone. That's, then maybe somebody's like, oh, wow, here's this CD that Melissa Sandullo put out when she was in her early 20s. And
that's what they'll pull out someday when you're playing arenas?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The Moonshine and Music won't get the exclusive to that, but like if you end up on, Oprah, like the Oprah channel or something, or,
right.
then you'll be rolling it out. Like,
Or I feel like it would be one of those things that, if the day ever came where I was playing arenas, which right now it's like breweries, which I seriously love playing the breweries. But I think that, it would be more like I would go on Ellen and she would have found it and played a song from it as a joke.
She'll find somebody else.
I feel like that's what would happen.
She'll find it from someone else because she's definitely not getting a copy from you.
Right. She'll find it from somebody and then she'll play it to embarrass me. I think that's what would happen.
So, how many records have you made? I mean, I've been listening to the new one.
Really, I mean, I did two records of worship music, and then I took a huge long break, had a family, and just got started back into music 2 years ago. And so this newest one was just a total relaunch of me. Yeah. It's the seasoned variety of, just a person who's gone through a lot of stuff and seen the world from a completely different perspective. And I think that
and the name of the album is for the folks?
It's called Poets and Misfits.
Right.
And it is available on iTunes and Spotify and CD Baby and other. You can find it on YouTube, all of the digital platforms.
We'll have it in the show notes.
I think there's like some Russian website that might have it too.
KK or something over in China.
Right, maybe, yeah.
My stuff's on the same sites, so I get it.
Yeah. But I would say this one is certainly far more honest than anything I've done, because I've actually really pulled from actual life experiences and also just told some stories, just doing some storytelling based on life experiences that people close to me have had as well.
I mean, I listened to the record a few times before I had, I didn't meet you that very long ago.
Right.
And I had listened to it a few times before that, and I like the song Spider Silk.
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, because I play piano also, when I hear that tone come in, it like sets such a mood pretty much throughout your record.
Sure.
Like, the different piano tones that you use, the scale that you're playing in or whatever.
Sure.
It's like, that's something that really touched me about the music. Do you work on that when you're writing the song? Do you go, look, is it just, I wrote the song and now I'm going to change the mood of it, or is that like part and parcel of what you do?
Yeah, and I think a little bit of both. Really, the concept changes from song to song, and so there are some songs where I have a melody in mind, and I'm not really even sure where it's going. I'm not sure what the story is. I just know that there's a feeling and there's an emotion behind it, and I don't know what the source is. And so I sit down at the piano and I just play. And then the lyrics come later. For Spider Silk, the lyrics came before the music. And it was an extremely personal song about just a victory I had over an abusive relationship. And I started writing the lyrics after I found out that the guy I had been involved with years and years ago had been arrested for domestic violence. And I had that moment of, like, that could have been me, because I was very all in that relationship at a very young age and learned a lot that I should have never been exposed to at the age I was. He was cruel and manipulative. It was really my first experience with gaslighting, and I felt crazy and I felt super fragile and weak in that relationship. And I finally had this moment of strength where I was able to cut all ties and just block him from my life completely and no longer give him access. And when I found out about his arrest, all of those vulnerable feelings came back, and things that I thought I had dealt with and put aside and thought I had moved on and I was okay. But I kind of had like a mental health moment, where it just all came back. And I took my son to preschool the next day, and I remember seeing this spider web stretched across two parts of the fence, and it had been there for weeks. And we lived at that point in Illinois in lake effect winds. We weren't super far from Chicago. So when there were storms, they were big, and it was torrential downpours, lots of wind, and we had a lot of weather, and there was that spider web. It was still there. And I thought, wow, like, that's such a delicate creation, but it's so strong. Like, I would actually have to take a stick and dig all of those anchor threads loose to get it knocked down. And that's where the concept of spider silk came from. I thought of something that appeared weak, but was actually very strong. And so I just started writing everything I knew about spider webs. And then I started writing everything I knew about myself. And I merged the two together. That's how that song came about.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
because I really like that song, and
Thank
then
you.
like, you know, to hear all that backstory is just like, wow,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, it's not like it hasn't been a year where there's been a lot of, you know, of this stuff in the news, and I'm sure
my
that
gosh.
doesn't, like, you know, keep it quiet in your mind.
Right.
You know, I mean, for you know, for all of us, we're thinking about everything that's ever happened anywhere that we've been.
Right.
And for, you know, someone who's had an abusive relationship, I'm sure
Right.
that every time something new comes up, it's just like it easily floods back into your life.
It's a trigger. You know? And I hear a lot of people kind of make fun of that word, like, oh, you're triggered. And when you've been through some trauma, you know what it means to feel triggered, because when there's been a trauma, when there's been something that's impacted your life that significantly, that doesn't ever really go away. You find tools to deal with it. And I actually had a therapist who said, we're not going to make it go away, but it's in the dark, and we need to shine some light in the corners, and we need to pull it out and deal with it. You know, and that's what I've learned to do over the years, is that it doesn't go away. There's healing for sure there's healing, and I feel like I'm in a really healthy place.
Is the music, is that part of that healing? Is that one of those
cathartic.
tools? You know?
Yeah, it is, because if I can get it out and I can get it on paper, and I can put it in a positive light. You know, one of the things that you'll notice, and playing Spider Silk on the piano versus having the full band along with it is a little bit different. It's a little more vulnerable on the piano, but one of the things that you'll notice if you listen to the recording is that it's very stormy, and it has like that sense of, for lack of a better word, victory that surrounds it. Like, you didn't get me, I'm good. And so it's kind of like taking that thing that happened and dealing with it and saying, it happened, but it's over, and it didn't do me in.
Right.
So, and I think that's really important with music, and I think that's why.
And that's a good message for others.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think that's why my music is better now, because I finally got honest, and I finally said, no, actually, like, life has been kind of hard for me, and I'm done trying to pretend that it hasn't, and I think that's what makes it good.
I mean, yes, absolutely. So, you know, I want to talk for just a moment about your other thing that you
Sure.
have going, because, you know, it's a kind of a shift in gears away from the music a little bit, but you recently opened up the Books and Brews
Yes.
store. It was one of the franchises in Broad
Yes.
Ripple. I mean, what drove you to become like a brewery owner as opposed to just being a musician?
Yeah,
You know?
so my husband and I both have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I always wanted to open a coffee house. And my husband is very analytical, and I'm very feelings driven, and that's why we work together, because if we had two feelings driven people, it would just be like a massive depressive heap of uselessness.
We'd be crying in the corner.
We'd be crying all the time. But I'm also kind of a free spirit, and but I always wanted a coffee house, because that felt like a place to me that would lend itself to being a community, and inviting. Excuse me.
The Moonshine.
It got me. Right in the microphone. Inviting, totally real here. But inviting more of an intellectual experience where people can really talk about their philosophies on life. And it was just a very, it it was a very utopian picture for me. And my husband did the numbers and the analytics. He's like, it's very hard for a coffee house to be successful. And here's all the overhead. And here's this. And so he did all this market analysis. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's not going to work. And when we moved to Indianapolis, it was a sad move because we absolutely loved the town that we lived in. And it took me a while to even be able to talk about the town without tearing up because it was just such a special place. Princeton, Illinois, it was this really small town. It was kind of like a little Mayberry, but it was also very progressive. And so there was a strong artistic community there, lots of locally owned businesses. It was just a precious, precious place. And so moving to Indianapolis was difficult for me because I hadn't really found that place. It took me a long time to find that place where I felt like I belonged and it was my place. And I decided to go to an open mic night at the Books and Brews near 96th Street one night and just had an incredible experience. I made all kinds of friends. I felt like when I walked through the door, I was greeted like an old friend, made friends with the bartenders. I mean, it was an incredible night. I got invited to sit down with strangers. They shared their pie with me, and I love pie, and so that was all good.
Well, now we know how to get you.
Right.
Just offer you some pie.
Well, and this is like pie flavored.
It's apple pie moonshine.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So it was a great experience, and my husband had stayed home with the kids that night, and I came home, and he said, how'd it go? And I said, it was so great. I feel like I found my place. And so he came back with me the next week, and we were talking, and he said, this place is really cool. Why is it so cool? And I said, I don't know. What is it? Why is it so great? I can't put my finger on it. It's fantastic. And then we met Jason, the owner, and talked to him about his concept. And I said, I feel like I found my place. And he said, did you know that's our whole mission statement, is being a place for people without a place? And I said, well, you're doing it. You've done it. You've absolutely done it. And then Evan and I started talking about, could we do this? Could we open up a place like this and provide that place for others? And we finally found the thing that we were both equally passionate about. And the business model was fantastic. Evan talked with Jason a lot about the financials behind it, and we decided to go for it.
Well, I've been in the store, and it's fantastic. Thank and everybody you. Should go visit all the Books and Brews locations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you want to go and play some music for us?
Yeah, I would love to.
Well, that would be awesome. Yeah. So we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back, and Melissa's going to play some songs for us.
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Next week on Moonshine and Music, Chris Birch will join us in studio. He'll talk about his new band and what he's got planned for the summer.
For you, and we can't go back to the way things were. Wouldn't if we could. Yeah, you've given me more than I could ever return you. Give me something true.
You thought I was fragile, or maybe a little. It came in like a cloud, a breeze, a trickle. Rolling thunder, wind grew stronger. You blew against this spider web, soaked and beaten, nearly broken, tethered by my anchor thread. dancing in a space of beauty to my dewy place of rest, and you can never quite undo me. No, you never got the best of me. You forgot the strength of spider silk, didn't you? How bad you never knew. Oh, baby, you're not the only little storm to go through. I stand out all of you. Oh, baby, you forgot the strength of spider silk, didn't you? You're not the only little storm to blow through. I stared at all of you. Hey, Thank you guys. That was Spider Silk. That's the one we were talking about a little bit. And this next one is called Blissful. It's one of my favorite tunes, and it's not a sad song. It's just a song about a love that was never meant to be. And there's pleasant memories, but that time is over. Sideways, blades of green caught in my dress. Oh, it felt like summer never would end. We were killing time with lavish finesse, and every time you looked at me, I knew the barricade would be going up before I wanted to say goodbye. We were stealing kisses in the moonlight. I knew something wasn't right, and I blissfully denied it.
lost my pedal on that one. It flipped over on me. It's one of these. It's one of these cheapy little guys that comes with the keyboard, and I've never gone ahead and bought a real pedal. So that's next. That'll be next.
Well, we know what to get you for Christmas.
Yeah, a good pedal. They're not even expensive. I'm just lazy, I guess. This next one is called And Then Some, and this one's about my husband, who has been fantastic. We've been married for 15 and a half years now, and started dating the summer after my senior year in high school, and I'm still just totally crazy about him, as much as I ever was. So this is called And Then Some.
I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Told you once, told you twice, told you 3 times not to love me. Hey, I wouldn't stop, and I never really wanted to fall for you. Oh, you changed my mind, and now I'm all spun out with both feet still in my shoes, because you brought the healing and some, honey. You were the things that I do. You got me reeling and some, honey, yes. Got me reeling and some, yes. And you know those days and loving afternoons, tangled up in each other, I'm all twisted up in you. And I guess it's safe to say I'm under your skin. And it's my turn to have you all spun out. Love that you're in out there, 'cause you brought the healing and some, honey. You were the things that I do. Got me reeling and some, honey. Oh yeah, you brought the healing and some, honey. Oh yeah, you got me reeling and some, honey. I'm intoxicated by the smile on your lips, by your hand upon my hips. I've been watching the clock, you got me watching the door. Come on home, baby, love me some more. I can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Hey, you brought the healing and some, honey. You were the things that I do. Got me reeling and some, honey. Oh yeah, you brought the healing and some, honey. Oh yeah, you got me reeling and some, honey. Yes. All right. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Do I have time for one more? Okay. Your words said a few things that chill on you could really do things. Hey, that I'd hold it out more time. until something in the way you put your finger to my lips. Something in the way you moved off quickly from my kiss. Something in the way you rocked your hips up into mine. Something told me we weren't really fine. I wanted something stable. You took it off the table. Hey, shook the cradle from the tree, knocked the wind right out of me. I guess I really couldn't see until something in the way you put your finger to my lips. Something in the way you moved off quickly from my kiss. Something in the way you rocked your hips up in mine. Something told me we weren't really fine. Something told me we weren't really fine. So I shook you off, I shook you loose. I wasn't gonna wear you like a noose. And now I'm dressed in the loving of a good man. You won't find me hanging around in trees. You never really gave a damn for me. And now I'm dressed in the loving of a good man. Something in the way he puts my fingers to his lips. Something in the way he moves in gently for a kiss. Something in the way he rocks his hips up in mine. Something tells me we're gonna be just fine. Something tells me we're gonna be alright. Something tells me everything's alright. Something tells me we're gonna be just fine. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Melissa Sandullo equals awesome. Am I right? You know I'm right. I'm right. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, okay, that was annoying. But she was really good. And join us next week when Chris Birch is going to be here. He's going to tell us all about his new band. He's going to sing some tunes for us. And I appreciate you. If you want to go back and watch some back episodes, you can pick up all of those. They're all still out there. This was episode 4, and next week's episode 5. We have 10 more already filmed and coming up just for you. So give us a good look at all those back episodes and stay tuned for next week's show. Thank you a lot for joining us today on Moonshine and Music. Moonshine and Music is a presentation of Eat New Media in association with Notlehs Entertainment. Producers for today's program are Brandon Lay and Joe Shelton. Be sure to join us next time on Moonshine and Music.